Okay, so I'm going to continue. This is part 2 of the lit review, and I just want to begin talking about the most salient facts from the articles. And I'll just begin. I did a little test run, so I'll just start talking about the articles. This was important to talk about one article, and then I'll look and see if there's something similar about the interventions, the effectiveness of the interventions. So first I'm going to talk about the methods of the intervention. All right, so 791 Mexican parents and their adolescents. All right. All right, I found another interesting fact. There was only one randomized trial that studied the parent-youth sexual health communication, and I could just say father, son, but I kind of want to lead into it. There were fathers and then father figures and sons. Okay, and I'll look at the next article and post an interesting and similar, there was a similar fact. Okay. Okay, so since I gave a little bit of information here about when folks participated in the intervention, what happened, they had more comfort in communicating with their adolescents than the ones in the control group. I'm going to put a similar fact here that I found. And what you can do is just kind of cut and paste from the article and then paraphrase. Again, I want to talk about what happened, who was more successful, the intervention group or the control, where they didn't receive the intervention. And so I just pasted that there. All right, so I'll again look at the next article and see what is interesting about an intervention. Okay, so I'm not going to go there yet. What I'm going to do is kind of make this tie into the first paragraph, and this is just based on my style of writing. You can certainly do yours differently where you look for another fact, but I think for this example I'll just kind of close it up here. So that's my reasoning for trying to blend it a little bit more. So just use a transitional statement. For instance, to tie it in with the above, there was a randomized controlled study of 791 Mexican parents. And then I want to do something here. I want to kind of highlight this and give the reader a sense that something is unusual. So I'll say, in addition, or I'll say, moreover, in the only randomized study, randomized trial, and then I'll kind of go with that, okay? So I'll tie that in, and then, of course, I'll make sure that all this is double-spaced in the end. Let me look at the next section and make sure that I give you a good representation of the different sections. I'm looking at something, the statistics for that I added, and I don't think I have it in here. Okay, so this is just my pet peeve here. I need to say that came from the Youth Behavior Risk Study, and that was 2012. And wherever it's not something that's common knowledge, make sure that you cite. Okay, and I could go back and find that. Okay, all right, I'll stop whispering. All right, I'll put it on pause one more time. Okay, so basically I have this statement, and I'm going to cut this lit review short, but I think this kind of sums up the gist of the body of the literature. The collective results have shown that enhanced parent-youth communication is related to an increase in abstinence, and then I'll put some more information about increased condom use and so forth. Okay, so this will take a minute. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put in here all the authors or articles that found this or covered this. Yeah, found this. All right, so I'll go back. That's going to take going to each one and including their last names and the dates. All right. Let me think of what else. I said abstinence and STIs, condom use to prevent STIs or STDs. Hold on one second, and I'll add that important fact as well. Okay, so I'll do the same. All authors that have this point. The next thing, so let's see. Just hold on one second and I'll think of some other interesting fact, or either I'll just start filling in the last names and show you how to cite. Okay? Okay, and here it is. And this may not be all, but this is a good representation. Okay? All right, and so what I might do is then just kind of pull out one of these studies. I really like this study, just one, and give like for instance, okay? And tell just a little bit about that study, talk about their sampling and then what they found that's related to abstinence. Okay, now I'm looking for decreased sexual intent. So the next, I think I'll look at behavior. So maybe, okay, again, I'll think about that a little bit more, and I'll put in all the authors who had something similar to this result. Okay. Okay, so let me think of what I'll do next, and I'll come right back. Okay, and so I found an interesting fact about behavior, and so a decrease in the frequency of intercourse, which is important to prevent or decrease STIs, infections, and HIV. All right, so, and then we have all the ones that said that. So it's just a matter of, you may just do an outline and find these important parts, and then kind of, I did have a couple of articles that, I think one, so I'll say however, that said the contrary. However, one study showed the contrary. And then I may just include whichever study that is there. Okay? And then I'll say maybe specifically just some transitional statement. Talk a little bit about that and why they found an increase, or how they summarize that. All right, give me a minute, and what I'm going to do is try to tie these three things in to one paragraph or a nice section. Okay, so I actually found several other articles that said the contrary, so what I'm going to do is kind of correct that. Other studies have showed the contrary. And then I'll put the authors here, author and date, semicolon, author, date, and I'll just leave it at that. I think it's one more. And I might just do a for instance. Okay. All right, just hold on one second and I'll kind of gather my thoughts. Okay, so I apologize in advance for skipping around, but I kind of thought of something that I like to start off with when you're getting into, right after the search and you talk about how many articles you found and which search terms that you've used, I like to just kind of lay it out and say how many were qualitative and quantitative. And I think that's the example that I gave you guys in class. So this is the lit review. I'm going to change this around a little bit. I might just say search. And you could do it whichever way you like. And then this is truly going to be the literature review, the findings of that. I'm just going to center that. And I think this will be helpful. This is the example that I gave in class. And kind of just going through, I think I'll first of all take off the tracking. Okay. All right. So I want to know everything about from the types of articles. They were qualitative, surveys, interventions, and then tell me how many were qualitative. And this is sort of redundant, but I always like to have like a lead-in to give the readers like a sense of what they'll come across. So when I say 8 qualitative, I can cite them all, or I could just say, for example, and have a couple of them. Then this is, okay, another ethnographic study, qualitative as well, descriptive, and kind of just go through and name, just describe the studies. Longitudinal, and this is a more sophisticated type of study, the randomized controlled trials. So you could kind of lead in with that to give the reader a sense of the types of articles that you're reviewing. And then you can get into the topics and the findings and so forth, and back it up with the types of what they have in common and how they differ. Okay? And once you talk about them, you could just say, for example, and then go and find something that's similar. And then include that one that will stick out or that doesn't quite fit in with the rest of the articles. Okay, and I have about a minute, so I'll kind of wrap this up. Give me just a second, and I'll come back and cut and paste what I think of. Okay, so what I want to do is look at, these are youth outcomes, and so I'm going to add a little section here, again, just like a little preview of what I want to cover. And I could make it its own heading. Either way is fine, but I think I like it this way. And then I'll kind of bring the rest of the parts together. Okay. Alrighty. I'll make it all the same font, and let's see, okay, we'll go to, and then I'll double space the entire document. Okay, so this is all I'm looking for, just step by step. I still have, I'll erase that for now, and think about what I want to add there. Again, something will go here, and this will be a new paragraph. So I think that's it. If you have any questions, just let me know. I think I have like 30 seconds. So I'll go ahead and save this and post it on Canvas. For my Tuesday class, it's not, for me at least, on my site, it's not very easy to find, but I see that you can get to it by pages, and then the topic videos. For my Wednesday class, there's an icon that IT put there for you guys. All right, thanks.